Incorporating politics into a popular, casual viewing cartoon show could go one of two ways. It could be really horrific, or it could be really successful. And thankfully, 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish is definitely a success. This is the 4th episode of the 2nd season of The Simpsons, and one that I find to be quite delightful. Because it is quite political heavy, it's quite a refreshing change to the usual subjects it deals with. Not that its usual subjects aren't serious, or something that you could analyse as being serious. This has a very specific agenda, or at least in my eyes the agenda here is that sometimes bad guys run for politician, and we get a lot of Mr. Burns in this, because it starts out with Bart and Lisa fishing in a very odd scene. There's something really weird about that opening scene where they're fishing. It just seems unnatural for what they would do together in their spare time. I wish they'd elaborated a bit more on that. But once we get past that fact, and we realise that Bart has found a 3-eyed fish, the power plant may be responsible for this because they're a health and safety nightmare. And suddenly it could cost Mr. Burns millions and millions of dollars to fix this. His reputation could be ruined, or he could run for office and try and get the people of Springfield on his side. Needless to say, that's going to take a lot of work, and the majority of this episode is him trying to campaign to get people to like him, and you can really see him clutching at straws with this. And I had actually forgotten how this episode kind of concluded, or how people were able to see through the facade. I won't say how it happens, but I'll say it's very clever, and even as the episode hinted at it halfway through, I'd still forgotten what happened, and I think it tied everything together really nicely. It's a really nice narrative structure that works really well, and each member of the Simpsons household has a really important role to play in this. Maybe not Maggie, but everybody else. Even Santa's little helper does something to show how Mr. Burns reacts when he's approaching your everyday family. And I think it was quite nice to have Mr. Burns in the Simpsons household. It was nice to see him interacting with them, and also with their possessions. We get to know Smithers a bit more as well. And I think it handled democracy very, very well. I think it took a political subject, something that is going to affect a lot of people. We all have to put up with politicians who are lying and not representing their true selves. Unfortunately, some of those people end up being in charge of entire countries. And it delivers this in a very accessible, interesting, and quite entertaining way. And I think it's done it very, very well. And in a way, it made me restore a bit of faith in democracy. Because as much as democracy is an amazing invention, various political leaders have proven that actually democracy doesn't always work, because people are idiots. But that's a different story entirely. 2 cars in every garage, I think, is a really entertaining episode. It could have been quite heavy and stuffy and not very interesting and a little bit too close to home. But I think it took the story of Burns running for governor and made it really interesting but relatable, and something that we can all kind of roll our eyes at and think, yes, we've seen this in real politicians and we've seen this before in real life, but allowing us that little bit of respite from reality and allowing us to enjoy democracy in Springfield instead. I really like it. To be honest, the whole 3-eyed fish thing, we see it crop up again, and I'm not that interested in this concept of the power plant destroying the planet, because maybe that's just a little bit too close to home. Because as much as I am, I believe in global warming, I believe in us destroying our own planet, I'm a bit tired of hearing about it. But aside from that, I think it's a really great episode, brilliantly directed by Wesley Archer. Usual fantastic voice cast, of course. Thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. If I tried to find fault with it, I don't think I'd be able to identify anything. It's really good fun and also very meaningful.